Next 10 minutes are yours. Take it away, my friend.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to just sort of start by thanking MediaPost. They've been great partners for us, and we're really happy with this relationship that we have, and we're looking to expand that. To all the attendees here today, even though this is a sponsored session, we sort of thought long and hard about how we could sort of provide some sort of value to everybody here today. And rather than just kind of giving you like a big infomercial on Mountain, instead, we thought that we'd use this time today to kind of tease early results from a really fascinating first of a kind study that we did with our partners at QuickFrame. I think the findings from this study are going to be really fascinating for everybody here. And so as I'll mention at the end, we're going to publish the full findings also with MediaPost in a few weeks. But I want to tease the beginning of these findings because I think it's like very compelling. Everyone who's been involved in the process of this has been pleasantly surprised with the findings of that. Now, in order to understand the study, you first do have to understand what Mountain is. And what Mountain is a self-service advertising platform for OTT, for connected television. And what's different about Mountain is that it looks, feels, and performs like any other major performance marketing channel. So really, in other words, a lot of our advertisers see Mountain as their third channel next to paid social, paid search, and Mountain sort of represents the TV component of it. So you may have already heard of connected television. We just heard about some connected television efforts from AARP. But what's specific about our use case is the fact that with Mountain, television is now a performance marketing channel. And so the brands that use the platform run the gamut from really well-funded startups that are really aggressively pursuing performance marketing all the way through to very large brands that are using the platform directly or with their agencies. And so being a performance marketing channel, it's measurable like one as well. And so when an advertiser runs campaigns on the Mountain platform, they can measure things like site visits and conversions because they're running a pixel on their website. And so what that leaves the advertiser is to, the most important decision that the advertiser is left making is their creative. The platform has automated media buying. And so, you don't have to deal with bidding or anything like that. You just set your budget and goal. And so really that leaves the advertiser really focused on what matters most, which is their creative. Now, recently, if you haven't heard, we merged with Ryan Reynolds' creative agency, Maximum Effort. And so we actually did a campaign on our own platform, which kind of shows off the power of the platform, which is we ran an A/B test. We created 2 variations of creative with Ryan, and using our platform, we were able to get results on that. Well, we saw that the version where Ryan was narrating the ad versus starring in the ad actually yielded significantly better results from a site visits perspective. Now, A/B testing is great, but what happens when you actually introduce AI technology to really better understand the ingredients of the perfect TV commercial? Now, that's where our friends at QuickFrame actually come into play here. QuickFrame, if you're not familiar, is a video as a service platform. There's 2 components to the platform. There's the Creator Collective. It's a curated network of production companies, really a one-stop shop for any advertiser if you need any type of creative. And the turnaround is quite quick as well. But what we're going to talk about today is their Video Vitals platform, because that's the technology really deployed in order to make this study happen. Now, you may have heard of this technology a couple of years ago. You may have read an Adweek about how Bleacher Report used this technology when it was in its beta stage. But now it's officially out of beta. And, the fintech brand Self, for example, has been using this to improve their creative performance. Now, what Video Vitals specifically does here is it's kind of like 23andMe for video. We're all familiar with 23andMe. It's that testing tool that we all take, or some people take, and it gives you an idea of your genetic composition. And from that genetic composition, it tells you characteristics about yourself that can only be understood on a molecular level. And that's essentially what Video Vitals is doing as well. It's giving you this sort of molecular level understanding of video. It has this really fascinating object recognition capability to it, where it can understand specifically what's happening inside of creative. And it reports that back to be able to give you some sort of guidance on what's working and what's not working with your video creative. So what we did in this study is we combined resources from Mountain. What we did was we looked at over 1,800 commercials that ran on our platform over the last few months across 10 or more verticals. And the timing of the assets, the duration, I should say, of the assets spanned 15-second and 30-second spots. And we also provided corresponding performance data for all of these campaigns. This is really the real value here, which was the impressions, the site visits, the conversions, and the order value that came from all of these commercials that ran. And we ran that through QuickFrame's Video Vitals platform. And that was able to sort of proactively check out all of the videos, again, give us that molecular level understanding of what took place in all of these videos that ran on the platform, to give us a better sense of what are the ingredients for the commercials that perform best and also performed not as great as we may have assumed. And what's really fascinating about this study is that I think, for a lifetime, we've seen commercials on TV and we sort of intuitively have an understanding of what we think is effective TV advertising and what isn't. But it's really interesting to do an analysis like this paired with real life performance data that took place on websites to really see what actually makes an impact and what doesn't. So let's preview some of those results here today. The first and most interesting kind of finding for me has been that, the data is kind of implying that people are thirsty for seeing a reopened world. And so one of the bits of analysis that was done was taking a look at the number of talent in a video, or the percentage of talent speaking in a video. And so one of the findings were that when an ad had more talent in the video, 3 or more people inside the video, we saw an uptick in visit rate and conversion rate on a website. Similarly, with talent speaking inside a video, people didn't want to see a monologue. They wanted to see at least half of the people inside the video talking. And again, that always yielded more of a higher visit rate or a conversion rate inside an advertisement. Similarly, if we're talking about sentiment, there's a sentiment analysis component to this as well. Something that you'd intuitively kind of understand is that tone has a big impact on what sort of feeling you're going to engender in the user and what action that they'll take. In this case, it was interesting to see that ads that opened with a emotion of fear yielded a pretty higher than average visit rate, but the conversion rate was like way below average. However, something with joy yielded a slightly higher than average visit rate, but a more respectable conversion rate lift. So that's something really kind of interesting in terms of how you open with the emotion. I think more predictably, ads that open with sadness or anger really had a pretty sort of clear drop in both visit rate and also conversion rate. Now, it was really interesting to sort of extend this analysis over to across several verticals. Now, something interesting that the Video Vitals platform that QuickFrame has is that it identifies something called clusters. And clusters are sort of themes derived from keywords and objects inside videos. And again, this is going to tap into things that we sort of feel intuitively when we look at the advertisements. And now you can kind of see if it actually checks out from a performance standpoint. All the metrics that we're looking at here are relative to the average for each vertical in terms of visit rate. So we're talking about visits to the website, because again, the Mountain platform allows you to track visits from impressions on televisions through cross-device tracking. So in the beauty category, ads that had themes of self-confidence or sustainability had a lower than average visit rate. But instead, the ones that performed quite well were ones that sort of spotlighted the story of the company founders, or really spotlighted organic products or this concept of clean beauty that's been a trend recently in the category. Same with fashion. Science or DIY wasn't really what people were most interested in. Instead, in this case, sustainability really did shine, and also exercise and fitness, which may be a reflection of the time that people are in, really focusing on self-betterment. In the food and beverage sort of category, vegetarianism and tailgate parties also might be a sign of the times. People aren't tailgating as much as they would in normal times. Instead, dinner parties and cheese, interestingly, performed with better than average visit rates. And finally, in the finance sector, interest rates specifically yielded a worse than average visit rate. However, mortgages generally yielded a better than average visit rate. Greed, predictably, and maybe, as it should, probably yielded a lower than average visit rate. And yet kindness and compassion performed quite well. And so that was just like an early preview of our study. I want everyone to sort of stay tuned, stay plugged into Media Post as we start promoting the full study. It'll be out in a couple of weeks. And we're going to analyze even more. So we take a look more at the talent that's spotlighted in the videos. We take a look at the amount of scenes that are in the creative, the topics and verticals, more sentiment analysis. And we also do an analysis of the right duration. This is important because we get a lot of advertisers that come to us. Creative is a huge investment that people make, and they want to make the right decision. And this can absolutely inform that process of choosing the right creative. And so, as John mentioned, we have some of our people, Eli and Chris, out there at Montauk. So if you're interested in understanding more about OTT advertising, please don't hesitate to talk to them. We also have our friends at QuickFrame there too. We have Lucas and Catherine from QuickFrame also on the floor there too. Make sure you talk to them, understand more about their platform and how they can make creative a lot easier for you. So with that, I just want to thank you again, and thank you to the Media Post folks and everybody in Montauk. Enjoy yourselves.